Okay, I'm already recording. That's good. Okay, so alright, let's go to the live server. So this is basically the extension that I use for this project. It's by Read Weekday. You can basically install it, and then after you have installed it, it should have something here called Go Live. Alright. Do you guys have the Go Live text at the bottom of your VS Code after you have installed the live server extension? Can anybody react or say anything if there is Go Live text at the
Sorry,
bottom?
could you repeat? Could you repeat that?
Repeat at which part?
Say that again. What do you want us to do?
Okay, so like uh, after you have installed the extension live server, right? You basically need to go to the bottom of your VS Code, and it should have a text called Go Live. Do you guys have that?
Go live. Uh, it's installed in my environment, in the environment already. I mean the
Mm-hmm.
extensions.
Mm-hmm.
So, go live. Uh, do we? Could you type in the chat or not the IP address, or how do we access the go live?
Oh, okay. So, but okay, the IP right here is basically the local. All right. So everybody's have the same local except this part, depending on whether how many you are using. So it can be 55001, 55002, 55003. But in this case, because I'm using only this site, it's gonna be 5500 by default. So it's gonna be the same for everyone, because this is a local server, not a you're hosting it into other website. Oh, sorry. You're not hosting it into other host provider. So it's basically your local server. So basically everyone is gonna look the same. All right. This one is basically for one lah for my PC. All right.
Okay,
Okay.
so now my question is, how do you go into live server and view the index.html web
Okay.
page?
Alright. So first of all, what you need to do is go to index.html file first, and then press go live, and it should appear like this. It's gonna appear at your default web browser. In this case, my default web browser is Microsoft Edge. If yours is Microsoft, if yours is Mozilla or Chrome by default, then it's gonna appear in Chrome or um, Mozilla. Is that clear?
Okay, I think we try. Give us some time to try. Is it okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
I will give like 5 minutes, I guess, for you
Yeah,
guys.
appreciate that. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you.
I will give some 5 minutes for you guys to set up first, and if you guys have set up it, can message, type in the chat for, can type in the Zoom chat one if you guys ready.
We will do. Yeah, you do this first. Huh?
Okay.
Okay. So I'm already in the index.html page, but
Okay.
to access the live server,
Mm-hmm.
so where do I click to access the live server?
In the browser.
In the browser.
Uh,
Okay. So how do I access? Do I click at the terminal, type something at the terminal, some commands?
no need. Just press the go live button at the bottom part of the VS Code, and it should appear in your browser. Like, okay, for example, like right now, I'm gonna close the server right now. Click to close the server. Okay, and now I'm basically gonna close this part. And then if you wanna like access the live server where it has the IP address and everything, right? Which contains the HTML, the rendered HTML, you can just click go live, and then it should appear in your browser, in your default browser, basically.
Unfortunately, I don't have that, don't have that option. So is there any other way to access it from the browser?
Okay, there's another way for that, but it's basically by manually go to the folder. Wait a second. Let me open up my folder first. So, okay, all right. Coding, security site for source. All right. So if you notice in this is basically in the file explorer, right? So you can basically press, if you go to the source, if you selected the source folder, this path basically, you can, there's an index.html, right? In this case, my default browser is Microsoft Edge, so it's gonna appear a Microsoft Edge icon. So you guys can basically click it and it's gonna show it. But there's a disadvantage in doing that, is that whenever you basically change anything in the code, you have to like refresh it multiple times to update it.
Fresh. Yeah.
Yeah, if you use the live server, it's gonna automatically update it after you add something in the code basically. So you have to like repeatedly refresh it multiple times.
All right. So how to automatically, what is a command line to type at the terminal to have this automatically refresh? No need to click refresh icon every time.
For that, I'm not really sure how to do that, but
That's okay. Never mind.
okay. That's the reason why I use this live server, because like it's an extension for the VS Code to make us easier to basically like make it refresh automatically without us having to do it manually. Okay, so yeah, is everything fine now? If so, we can like proceed with the like briefing of how the general workflow, of how we're gonna like do this session. It's already 5 minutes in. I wanna like see if you guys can press one if you have set up everything. Can you guys like
Still zero. Still zero.
still zero? Okay.
Yeah. So it's okay. I can manually refresh it every time, make changes. So possible to copy the website address, the IP, into
Uh,
the chat so that I can just copy and paste easy for us, for all of us.
cannot actually, because
Cannot.
cannot, because this is from the local server. So it's basically dependent on your PC lah. It's not globally.
All right.
It's not globally, so it's local server. So it depends on your device, right?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the special command to type in case you want to do this as a homework ourselves in future?
Basically can just look for the extension first, and then go to the live server extension and then install it, and then try to there's a button, right? Go to live server and it should show, after you click it, it's gonna show something in your browser based on the what's in your index.html. But don't worry, because this session is being recorded, so if you wanna like go back and watch it again, you can do that basically in GDG UPM YouTube channel.
Okay.
Is that alright?
Yeah, I guess so. You can carry on. I don't want to hold back the others.
Okay, thank you. So, alright. Okay, with that, hopefully we can like proceed with our session now with briefing and workflow. So, okay. Let me just show you guys the site that we're gonna build today. So this is basically our food security site. And yes, as the name suggests, about food security. While we're building this, we're also gonna learn a bit about food security, because there's certain information there. Like, okay, you guys can basically read about it. So yeah, it's something about food security. This is basically the site that we're gonna build. So as you guys can see, for now, this is basically for like smaller screen. It's basically showcase for a smaller screen right now. So because I'm using a smaller window, so to make this session much more like much more easier for you guys to understand and grasp it, I already prepared you guys some visualization for you guys to see how we're gonna construct our HTML structure. We already have the HTML template, right, in the session material that I've provided, and from that you guys can see how the HTML is structured within a specific section. So for this site, we basically have three main sections. The first one is basically the header. The second one is basically the main. The third one is gonna be the footer. So in terms of difficulty of this site, because this site is what I prepared for this session. In terms of difficulty, I will say that the left bar is the most easiest. The second easiest is gonna be the main. The third one is gonna basically the hardest is gonna be the footer. But I will explain it. So you guys can see this is basically how we structured the HTML. I provided the visualization, and also for the footer. So that's okay. We will go with the header first. So this is basically our header for the mobile section, and it's very important that you know how to use the dev tools. Okay, to know how to use the dev tools, you need to be careful because you might go into airplane mode if you don't press it correctly, and you might get disconnected. So don't do that. So I'm just gonna type in the uh, Zoom chat. I'm gonna put fn f12. All right, fn plus f12. It's gonna show uh, a command, a short command, how to go into dev tools. But there's also another command, not a command, but a way to access it without risking yourself into getting into airplane mode. You can basically inspect. You can basically right click and basically click inspect, and it's gonna show you guys the dev tools. So right now the dev tools for me is on another window, and by default it's not a separate window. It's actually within the same window as the site. So this is basically the default way whenever you open it in any site basically. So if you want to like have more flexibility, right, you can basically press or click this dotted button and go to dot location, and then select undot into separate window, which basically gonna creates whoops which basically gonna creates the another window for the DevTools, so it's easier for you guys to manage. Okay, all right. Okay, I'm just gonna minimize the chat. All right, so also in the DevTools, I also wanna like mention, I'm gonna make this window smaller a bit so you guys can see. So there are certain things that you can use, which is there's a button here called select an element in the page to inspect it. So if you press this, if you enable this, you can basically look at different elements that is hidden, basically hidden from the viewers lah, from the client, because this is the code, and it's basically by default it's hidden. It's not gonna show, otherwise it's not gonna look pretty. But for the developers, it's gonna show if you use the dev tools. Okay, and there's also another button that is very useful for developing a site, which is toggle device emulation. So for toggle device emulation, you can basically test the responsiveness of the site. So in this case, you can basically go. Okay, basically for this site, there are several breakpoints that we need to understand first. And the first breakpoints that I'm going to like introduce is basically below 767 pixel. So this is basically how the site is gonna looks like if I'm gonna like disable the DevTools, honestly. Whoops. Okay, I'm gonna disable this. Alright, so if you notice, this is the layout or the struct or how the site is gonna behave or looks like whenever it's in with 767 pixel. How about okay, this is the footer. How about 768? Okay, 768 is gonna look like this. And how about 1024? It's gonna look something like this. How about 1280 pixel width? It's gonna look something like this. What about 478 pixel? It's gonna look something like this. You get the idea, right? So that's how it's gonna looks like. Okay. Okay, this is one. Obviously we don't wanna do that. So we're gonna put 767 pixel. So I'm gonna explain a little bit about the breakpoint because it's very important, because in Tailwind CSS, because we're gonna use this for Tailwind CSS, we're gonna build this using Tailwind CSS. Understanding breakpoint is very crucial because we wanna make our website responsive as possible. So I'm gonna open up the docs, the documentation basically. Okay, this is the documentation, right? If you go into tailwind.css, this is basically the documentation. And yeah, it's very important if you know how to look for within this documentation, because the documentation is very clear. And let's go to the responsive design. Okay, for the responsive design, as you guys can see, these are some of the breakpoints, okay, by default, which is widely used in industry. So the SM is stands for 640 pixel. MD, which basically stands for, okay, SM stands for smaller screen, small. MD stands for medium, which is 768 pixel. LG is a 1024 pixel. Extra large, which is XL, is 1280 pixel, and 2XL is about 1536 pixel. Okay, so these are basically okay, hopefully you guys can like see it. Okay, I cannot make it bigger, so sorry about that. So but for SM, right, for SM is between 640 to 767. For medium is about 768 to 1023. For large is about 1024 to 1279 pixel. XL is about from 1280 to 1535 pixel, and 2SL is greater than 1536 pixel basically. So you need to understand that for Tailwind CSS, whatever you style you make, whenever you apply a style to a HTML element, any HTML element, by default it's gonna be mobile first, or the smallest screen possible. It's gonna apply to that first. So for example, let's say I wanna like customize this H1 element, right? This one H1 element, I set it for three different screen size. One is for the smallest, which is the text center. The second one is basically for the small size screen, and the right one, the MD, is basically for the medium size screen. Okay, so as a reference, can look back at this part. So this is basically some of the screen sizes that have been applied for this H1 element. So if possible lowest screen size is gonna be text center. If it's in the small screen size, it's gonna be the text is gonna be on the left side. If it's a medium screen size, it's gonna go to the text right. So as you guys can see from here, it moves from its styling. It moves from from the smaller screen sizes to gradually to higher or larger screen sizes. So that's the idea of Tailwind CSS for like using responsiveness. If you use the traditional way of using CSS, then you have like media query, you set the mean, right? So with Tailwind CSS, it's much more faster and much more efficient if you want to like set up the responsiveness. Okay, with that, I hope you guys understand the idea of the responsiveness. So yes, basically we basically gonna make basically the site is gonna work for these different screen sizes. So in this case, 1 2 3 4 5 6 different screen sizes. So yes, let's first move. Okay, if you wanna like follow this session, right, there's multiple ways you can do that. The first one is basically you can type it out with me together. You guys, whenever I type it in the VS Code, you guys can just follow it. But in case I go too fast, right, you guys can basically copy a section from my complete project, which I'm gonna give right now. So I'm gonna go to the CSS workshop. Sorry, I'm gonna go to my GitHub. I'm gonna like paste it in the Zoom. Okay. Can you guys see the message in the Zoom? I already provide the completed project, which contains all of the HTML that has contained the styling, the complete styling for the site. Okay,
We can.
alright, good. So this is basically the complete project based on GitHub. You guys can clone it, or you guys can basically copy paste it. I'm gonna show you guys how to do it later in case I move too fast, right? So okay, so I guess we can just start now with the coding part. Okay, first of all, let's open up our VS Code, and let's also open up our where is it? Okay, our live server, and I'm just gonna like reload this again in case it's not updated to the latest one. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Okay, what we have so far is basically not very good looking, but that's fine. We're gonna build this together. So okay, like I just said before, we have like three main section, right? The header, the main, the footer. After I finish one of the section, I will basically copy paste it and put it in the WhatsApp. In case like some of you guys are not catching up, I'm gonna paste it again, and then you guys can basically paste it into your VS Code in case I go too fast. Okay, so yeah, we can like proceed with the coding now. So first of all, if you notice, there's these icons are too big, so it's not like good looking for us to set up properly. But like before we move into that, we can just style the button first. If you notice, this side contains this button, right? So we basically wanna change this into this part. Okay, so let's just first of all uh put this shadow XS. I guess no need for this for now. We can like put win full, W full, and H16 flex. And before we put flex, let's us customize the let us style the button first. Background red 500. It's gonna show. Okay, now it's gonna show red right now, right? Because I changed the background. And by the way, I'm not going to explain a lot of things about the how to change the color, padding, margin, everything. I'm just gonna focus on the certain essential aspects like positioning, transform, the grid, and also flex. That part I'm gonna focus most on that. Uh, Other than that, like color, like padding, margin, I'm just gonna assume that you guys know because we already it's basically basic understanding of CSS. I'm just gonna focus more on the advanced side of the Tailwind CSS. Okay, so but I will like explain it briefly, so don't worry about that. Uh, so okay, background. Okay, this is the padding. Py stands for horizontally padding. Px for this is sorry. Py is for vertical padding. And by the way, make sure I forgot to basically build the okay. Whenever you wanna work with Tailwind CSS, you want to make sure that you you start the building process. Otherwise, it's not gonna work. So okay, I'm just gonna start the building process. Okay, now it's start the building process. Now the padding works. Otherwise, the padding won't gonna work if I haven't start the Tailwind CLI process, build process. Okay. Okay, so let's just proceed. Text white. Text white. Wait a second. Okay. Okay, now the text becomes white. And then I'm just gonna put margin vertical 2. And then I'm just gonna put border and rounded MD font bold. Okay, now the button looks like this. Okay, Okay, now we have successfully built a button. Great. So now we just need to center this button in horizontally and also vertically. So what we want to do is basically flex, justify center. If you understand how CSS work, this will be familiar. And sorry, item center, LG hidden. Okay, this part is very important because if you notice, I put something in some. I have mentioned before about the screen sizes, right? LG is one of the screen sizes, right? If you notice, LG is one of the screen sizes, which is basically utility for this, which is 1024 pixel to 1279 pixel. Okay, so what does this mean? Okay, let's open up our DevTools. Notice something. Right now, we're in 709 pixel width. So what if I change it into, let's say, 1024, which is the LG. Okay, for some reason it doesn't go away. Maybe I need to save it. Okay, now it goes away. So why is this happening? It's because I put at the screen sizes of 1024 and above at around 1279 pixel. Within that range, it's gonna be hidden. And why is that? Because if you, okay, I also installed a Tailwind IntelliSense. So if you have already installed it, if you hover at some of the utility class, it's gonna show the CSS code behind it, right? So but hidden means basically display none. The opposite of it is display block. Alright, so by default it's gonna be display block. Okay, so I'm not going to repeat, like, I'm just after this, for the responsive time, I'm just gonna like go over it as quick as possible. Hopefully you guys can understand it, how the responsiveness works. So okay, at this screen sizes it's gonna be hidden, right? But what if I go back to less than LG or large screen? It's gonna appear back. It's gonna appear for the donate button. Okay, so that's done, and let's go to the nav bar, which is in this case this part. Okay, and I'm just gonna like go just explain this a little bit. Within the header we have the div, and the div we have the button, which we already have done this part. And now we're gonna proceed with the bottom part. So right now, within this header we also have a second div, and within this div we have nav element, and with this nav element we have a div, and within this div we have an image. So if you notice, right, in this site, you can see a similarity. This part is actually this part. Okay, this part is actually this part, and this part is actually this part, and this part is actually this part. And for this search icon and for the hamburger icon, T is basically this part. So I make this visualization so you guys can see clearly how we're gonna structure our HTML basically. So so yeah, let's just proceed with the coding. So before that, I also wanna like make some of the icons smaller because it's too big for us right now. So I'm just gonna make this, I guess, let me just verify that just in case okay, this gonna be H6. This gonna be week 6. Okay, now it becomes this search icon now becomes smaller. Now we're gonna do for this part. Okay, this part. Alright, now it becomes smaller as well. What about the English part? Okay, the English part, drop down. We're gonna change the width and height to small. Okay, now the drop icon becomes smaller. And by the way, you guys can basically look at the complete project. I'm basically just following the same thing, but I'm gonna explain it basically, so you guys can understand what is going on. Okay, and also this Okay, this one also I need to like change it as well. So this one is width 6 and height 6. Okay, now it becomes smaller, a lot smaller, and then same thing for this one, height 6. Alright, okay, there's another one icon, which is the home icon. We're gonna change this to I guess, let me verify. Okay, 4, actually width 4, h4. Okay, alright. uh what else? This one as well, I guess, and h2. I guess I need to save it. Okay, now I need, okay, sometimes I have to like control S to save it, to apply the changes. Sometimes there's a bug. So now all of the icons for the navbar has reduced its size because I've changed it. I've basically changed the size. Okay, so now it's easier for us like to see what to do first. Okay, so I guess we can do for this part. Okay, this flag, or this like this, I guess, the logo. All right. Okay, let's do the logo first. Okay, for the logo first, where is it? Okay. Okay. All right. For header, I would like to put shadow a bit, shadow X, so you guys can see the separation between the between the main and the header. And background gray 50. You guys probably won't see any changes, like too much changes. Okay, okay, sometimes this happens, so I have to refresh. That's fine, everything's good. Okay, so now I have to like update this class as well. So I'm just gonna put container right here. I'm just gonna put 4. And by the way, you don't have to like put container as, but I'm just gonna put it. And this, okay, this relative is very important because this part I'm gonna explain later, but hold on. So with full, it's gonna be LG PX 8. So padding horizontal at large screen. And then what, LG P3, LG Max, sorry, Max Auto XL PX36 2XL PX36 as well. So we do have to like duplicate this as well, because after you have put XL PX36, then it's gonna also apply to extra large screen, which is the 2XL. So you don't have to like put you don't have to like put okay, I have a typo, Max Auto, sorry about that. Okay, so now you guys can probably kind of see the separation right here. There's a like a line right here, right? This is basically the diff right now, so if you look at the visualization, it's basically this red diff right now, this red diff. Okay, so let's go back and go to the nav. So right now what we want to do is basically we want to use flags, and I will get back to the relative part, don't worry. Okay, after I put flags, now it looks okay. Now this is basically the logo right now, but you cannot see it because I haven't changed the color yet. But don't worry about that, I'm gonna change it. So first of all, I'm gonna put item center and justify between. So there's some, okay, there's some basically some space right here. I guess I can just change the color right now so you guys can see it better. And absolute property is very important because it's connected to a relative. It's related to relative. So background dark azure 500 px 4 pt 4 pb 8. And whenever you see now the logo appears, right? So whenever you see P, it means padding. Okay, BTX is basically for the which direction you want to go. Okay, flex items center justify center. Okay, now this is basically our image, our logo, and I'm gonna put top 0. It's gonna appear on top. All right. So then, what I wanna do now is basically go to this part, this div, and I'm basically gonna put width full. Okay, so now it's already. Sometimes I need to control S9 and then the logo will go up top 0. And by the way, if so for example, if I put 20, it's gonna go down. If I put 0, it's gonna go top. Okay, so that's how the positioning. If you want to change the positioning of the absolute element, then you need to use top, bottom, left, or right. Okay. Okay. So and then ML 24. Okay, okay, now basically margin left 24. All right. And then what I want to do next is flex items center. Now basically there's a two flex item right here, which is in this case this one and this one as well. And we want to make for 767, which is less than MD, which is less than medium size screen, to be basically hidden. But okay, right now we're in MD, right? Because 768 is for MD. And by the way, I'm just gonna like paste this code just for reference, so you guys can like see. Alright, so yes, that's basically the range for screen sizes. Okay. Alright. Okay. So now we can proceed. Justify between. There should be a gap. Okay, now there's a gap between. Who's talking? Okay. So now there's a gap right here. Okay, let me just use my dev tools right now. You know this. Okay. Why it's not working? Okay, maybe I need to. Okay, for some reason it doesn't wanna. There's a bug, I think. Doesn't appear the code as well. Uh, okay, no worries. I will try to restart the live server again, because sometimes it doesn't work. Okay, and then I'm just gonna go into the dev tools again. Okay, now it appears. So if you notice, there's a gap. The purple box is the gap between this div and this div. Alright. So that's why when you use justify between, the between, just remember between means that there's a gap. There's a gap in between these two divs. That's the idea. So let's go back into the let's style the saving lives, changing lives. Okay, so let's do text dark Azure 500. Now this one doesn't actually exist in default Tailwind CSS, because this one is the custom styling that I put in the input.css. Okay, if you notice, this is the custom styling that I've basically created. That's why if you haven't like put the input CSS from the session to material, it will appear. But if in your case it doesn't appear, you can just choose what color you want lah. Basically, you can just put dark blue, or you can just put blue if you want like text. Let me just change the. Okay, let me just change it to blue. Okay, can put 500. Okay, it can appear like that, but in this case I'm not gonna use that. I'm just gonna use my custom color, which is saving life, changing lives. Okay, alright, so now it's starting to look much more like a nav bar. I mean kinda. So now let's go to the hidden. Okay, first of all let me open up the dev tools. Okay, and let me enable the responsiveness. Okay, alright. Okay, so right now it's hidden. Why? Because at the smaller screen it's gonna be hidden. If I don't put hidden, it's gonna appear back. Okay, I'm gonna put hidden. But in case like I wanna like make it appear at large screen, so I can just put by default block. Alright, so sometimes it happens again, so you have to refresh it. Okay, sometimes the live server has some problems, but that's fine. Okay, now at large screen, okay, it should work by the way. Let me reload it. Okay, maybe I have to like restart it again. Okay, let me restart it again. Okay, now it appears. At 1024 it appears. Okay, if I change it into 768, it's gonna disappear because I put hidden at first, right? Remember, whatever you put styling first, it's gonna appear. It's gonna apply to the smallest size screen as possible. Okay, that's the idea. Okay, so let's move on. Flex call gap 3 font medium text gray 500 win full. I'm gonna basically, okay, for now it doesn't appear because this div actually applies to the large screen. So yes, I'm gonna go to the large screen first. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit so you guys can see. And then after that, what else? Okay, every single part of this has been styled, I assume. So let's go to the who we are. Okay, so item center. Okay, right now I'm basically focusing on this, who we are, our work, where we work, and this part lah. So if you notice, this is basically who we are, everything. So if you put flex, then it's gonna flex direction by default is gonna be row. So let's say if I wanna like put flex column, right, it's gonna like stack on top of each other, which we don't want. So by default it's gonna be row. Okay, so if I put like flex row, it's gonna still be the same because it's the default style that that have been applied. So yes, okay, so let's just move on. Let's item center text md font bold. Now it appears something like this, right? Okay, now this is also a very important part because I'm just gonna like copy paste it, I guess. Okay, okay, if you notice, this nav actually doesn't really exist as well in the default Tailwind CSS toolbox basically, because this one is also a custom styling that is custom class utility class that I've created. So if you look at the input CSS, this is basically the custom class lah for that I've created, which gonna make us easier to handle. If you include the input.css, then it's basically gonna appear something like this. So the same thing we wanna do for other things as well. Okay, now there's gonna be a gap. Okay, okay. Now we wanna also put a button as well. The button is there. We're just gonna like customize it a bit, and we wanna like put background red 500 py1 px4 text white margin top 2 border rounded empty. So I'm just gonna save that, then it's gonna appear something like this. Okay, now we also wanna do for the smaller section, which is 768. In this case, I'm just gonna like by the way, this should have worked. Okay, but doesn't matter if like there's something wrong. You can just like copy the entire section and just put it. Maybe I missed certain things, but I think for some reason it should have been like justified between already. But that's fine. I guess we can just go LG hidden items center space x4 margin right 5. Okay, now it appears something like this. And honestly, maybe I can just put flags right here. Wait a second. I guess I can just put flags. For some reason it should work already. Justify between. Okay, now it's on the right side. Let me see what's going on the right side. Okay. Okay. Media resources. Okay, we don't want like call, I think. We wanna be row. Yes, we wanna row instead of call, by the way. And for the English part, if I'm not mistaken, yes, for the English part we also have flags as well. And we wanna put it at the end. So if I'm not mistaken, there's a flag justify end, right? Yes, there's a justify end. Okay. Flex. Get 3. Let me just try to copy this, because this should have worked already. Okay, now it appears something like that. But don't worry, I guess I just copied the entire section because maybe there's a error or something that I just missed. But that's fine. It should have like worked. Okay. Alright. After this, after I paste this, then you guys can. I'm basically gonna also explain another div at the bottom. Okay, there's a problem again. Okay, now it appears. So maybe there's certain things that what who just okay. Okay, so this is basically the this is basically for the navbar section. So for this part as well, right? I haven't like explained it yet, but basically what we do is that we increase the width. Okay, I need to use the inspect tool right now. Inspect tool. Okay, again with the live server there's a problem, so I have to like go back into the lives again. Okay, and then I'm just gonna like okay, over it. Okay, just focus on this part right now. I'm just gonna zoom in a bit. Just focus on this part. So this part is basically this entire code. Okay, this entire code that I highlighted. So basically what we do is that we make sure the width is full 100%, or you can also use screen, by the way. Yes, actually use W screen instead of full. So and this is basically the image, which is this home icon, and then this is the h4 element, which contain the home. And by the way, you don't have to put strong, and by the way you can like use bold instead, font bold utility class. So I can just put font bold. Okay, it's the same bold. I can make like font black. Font black, don't confuse it with color. It's just the highest possible bold size for using Tailwind CSS. Okay, so this is much more like more aligned in terms of the boldness. And then we can use for image, which is basically this I don't know what to call this, but it's the right arrow. And then for the food security analysis, we just put text black. Okay. Alright, so okay, let's just test the responsiveness now. And by the way, I'm just gonna like copy this code and give it to you guys in the in the WhatsApp group, code for header section. Okay, so in the WhatsApp group, I have provided the code for the header section. So if you miss any parts, you guys can basically just copy paste it into your index.html. Alright, so yes, let's move on into, okay, before that, let's just see, okay, let us see the different, okay, let us see for different size. 767, okay, looks good. 768 looks good. 1024, okay, looks good. 280, okay, looks good. 478 looks good. 1536, okay, looks good. So let's go back to 768. And okay, by the way, I'm also wanna like explain a bit about the relative part, but I guess in the main section, okay, I guess I'm just gonna like explain it for the well, I guess I just explain the, because this image also uses absolute and relative, so I'm just gonna use this as an example to explain the relative and absolute. So yeah, let's go to the main section right now. So the main section, basically I want you guys to basically try to visualize this as well. So this is basically for the larger screen, and okay, where's the smaller screen? Okay, this one is for the mobile. This basically but for the mobile, and we have the section, and we have a div, and we have a h1, which is this one, h1, and then we have a div that contains an image with this one, which is this one, and then we also have a div right here that contains 3 child divs that contains other elements within it. So this one, I'm just gonna inspect it. Okay, this one is basically okay, if you guys can notice, this is the parent div of these 3, and within these 3 divs we basically have other 3 child divs within this. Okay, so it's basically the same as this image. Alright, so hopefully you guys can like see the idea of the structure of the HTML. And then we also have a div right here which contains the p element as well, and then we have a div which contains the show more here, p. You can use the button element as well, and then we have a section for the publications, and we use section because it's like we can group different kinds of elements that have a specific purposes. So for example, if you wanna like create a publication section, you can basically group everything in this section. Okay, so that's that. And basically right now, okay, so this is basically the publication. So if you notice, this is h1. H1 is stands for this one div. This div is basically just a container for another div, which is a grid. The grid style has been applied to this div, and it's basically gonna look something like this. Alright, so very similar in terms of layout. So this is basically what it's gonna looks like for the layout. And then we have a button right here, which is this one, a div. And then we go on to another section, which is the in focus, which is contain h1. And then we have another thing, similar thing for the grid. So this div is basically a grid. Grid styling has been applied to it, and within this grid we have like 3 other child divs. Okay, so within this div we have another div, and with this div we have another image, which is this image. And then we also have a div again for this box right here below it, the VM shop. And then we have a div right here, and also there's another element within this, but yeah, that's basically for this the VM shop. Also the same thing for this one and for this one. So yes, now okay, so for the last section of the main section, it's gonna be the related topics section. So within this related topic section, we have this div, and within this div we have another div. So yes, a lot of divs in this one is because div is widely used for styling. So whenever you wanna like decide what your primary go to, you need to use basically div to style. Basically, like for example, if you wanna like style flex, you can use div. If you wanna like style grid, you can use div as well. So that's why for grid I use div a lot. Okay, so h1 for related topics. Again, similar principles applies. We have another different child divs, and because the child divs right now is contained within this div grid, these child elements are also called as grid items. I'm going to explain what grid items more in the footer section, so don't worry about that, because yeah, the footer section is kind of complicated, but that's fine. So yeah, let's just start right with the coding for the main section. Okay. Alright then. So for the main section, what you want to do is basically, first of all, okay, let me just pull up my uh, local server. So okay, I'm gonna put it at 768, and then I'm just gonna put this pt 9. I'm gonna put just gonna put some padding there, 200, and then I'm gonna put relative. Okay, this part is very important because there's relative, right? I promise you guys to explain what is relative, so don't worry about that. px 8 and xl px 36, and to xl is px 36. Okay, so now it looks something like this. Okay, so basically what I did just is that I created a padding surrounding the divs, basically within the divs. So next we wanna target this field security analysis, and by the way we have two for different screen sizes. And by the way, we try to, for this HTML, for this project, we try our best to like avoid duplications as much as possible, because if you have like duplications, a lot of duplication, that is basically a lot of code, then it's gonna be less maintainable. But in this case, because we have like just a small section, or because we have like small section, so duplication is allowed. So yes, don't worry about it if you cannot do other ways. You can like duplicate this, for in this case this example. Okay, so okay, I'm just gonna like follow this PS4 font black. Okay, again, font black doesn't mean color, it just mean uh okay, let's just go to the Tailwind CSS just for like example of how you guys can use Tailwind CSS documentation to, for you guys to search for information, right? Because in the end of the day, you don't want like to memorize it. You guys need to basically have a general idea of how to build everything. From there, you guys can like search the documentation and try to like hack things together, and hopefully you guys can build something with that. So yeah, general understanding of how things work is what should be prioritized, and then the coding part. Okay, so okay, font black. Okay, doesn't show. Maybe I need to find bold. Okay, font weight, sorry. So font weight. Okay. There are different kinds of font weight. So I'm just gonna search for black. Okay. The font black is basically the largest font weight, which is 900. Okay. So don't confuse it with a color. Okay, it's not a color. It's actually a font weight. Okay. All right. Let's move back to the text. Okay, I'm just gonna make this larger a bit, and then I'm gonna put text start Azure 500 MD, which is gonna apply to, as you guys can guess, it's gonna apply to medium screen size. It's gonna be hidden. So right now it's not hidden because, okay, it's actually supposed to be hidden. Alright, now it's hidden because it's within the MD screen size, which is in this case 768, right? So 768 falls under the medium screen size, so that's why it disappears. But this one we don't want this to disappear. We want this to appear in the larger screen size. Actually, yes, a larger screen size. So font, black, text 6XL, text dark, Azure. Did I just okay? Okay, this one also, like previously I mentioned, this is a what do you call, a custom styling as well, custom color that I just showed you in the input.css. Same thing. So MB, which is margin bottom 12, is gonna create some margin below it, so it creates some spacing between the image and the text. And I'm also gonna put width half of it, so it's gonna be half of the screen. All right, so instead of like if full, then 2/2 is gonna, okay, now it appears again. There's a problem with the, okay, I guess there's a problem with the extension, but that's fine. I guess I will just reload it again. Okay, previously it doesn't happen, but for some reason now it happens. I don't know why. So okay. All right. Okay, so let's just put 1/2. Okay, 1/2, so it's gonna be like half of the width. Okay, good. So now what we wanna do now is basically we wanna style the image. I'm just gonna put this empty block. And by the way, we don't have to, like, because by default it's already blocked. So I'm gonna put this full. I'm gonna put this top 10, mpx 4, md absolute. Okay, now again with the absolute, right? Okay, don't worry about this because right now we're doing it for the small. Now it goes okay. I guess I cannot type it too fast. You cannot like catch up, I guess. Okay, I guess I need to type more slowly. Otherwise, it's the live server cannot keep track, I guess. Alright. Okay. Now it's absolute, right? Okay. Also, we need to put this block, I guess. Is there anybody asking? Okay, no. Alright, so okay, we're just gonna proceed. Now we're gonna put md absolute. We already done that. Okay, so right now it's absolute, right? So meaning, what does it mean by absolute? For absolute, it means that it's not restricted to any kind of like. Okay, before I explain that further, I wanna like complete this code so you guys can like see it clearly. Margin right 0, md px 8, lg with 32 RAM, as well as SL with 32 RAM. And by the way, let's say you don't have like a specific size that you want, you can use these brackets to just put whatever size you want. Because sometimes because Intel CSS doesn't have all sizes, so if you wanna like have a custom styling, not using, if you wanna like have a custom styling not using the input.css method, you can just do it something like this, but it's not like gonna be standardized throughout. So you basically have to do it. You basically have to do it multiple times if you wanna like use this approach. And by the way, for RAM, it's basically one of the measurement. So 1 RAM equals to 0.25 pixel. So yes, so 32 times 0.5 is gonna basically be okay. Yeah, it's basically gonna be 512 pixel basically. Okay, so don't worry about that. Okay, SL. Okay, SL. It's gonna be alright. Did I already specify that? Okay. SL right 36, XL PX0 2XL. It's gonna be right 36, and then 2XL again with the live server. It happens again. So we have to require we have to like basically uh reload it again. Okay, alright, so now it appears at the bottom. It should appear at the top. So I guess I haven't put the top to be 0, I guess. Okay, I need to. Okay, now it's at the top. It should be top 0. Okay, and I'm gonna explain. Now I'm gonna explain the relative and the absolute part. Why this is very important. I'm gonna go back to this part. So okay, look back at this part. This is basically our situation right now. Okay, this is basically our situation right now. The image right now is like overflowing into the other divs. So it's like terrorizing into others kind of section. But it's not but it's within this div, this red div. The reason why is because earlier we have already put a relative applied to it. Applied a style applied to it. So now this image, because we already put absolute to it, is only being recognized by this div. Okay? So it's only being restricted by this div, not other elements. But in this case, for example, let's say uh let's say I don't put relative to this. By default, it's gonna go to the go to the body or other elements that contains relative, which in this case I guess this part, because I also put relative this, so it's gonna go to any other elements that contains relative. But by default, the absolute element is gonna go. It's only gonna by default restricted to the body. Okay. So yes, so if you haven't specified any parent element, parent element if you haven't specified relative to any parent element that contains the absolute element, then it's gonna by default go to the body element. Okay. So I'm just gonna put back relative to restrict it to this div. Okay. So hopefully I guys can get the idea between the relative and the absolute. So that's basically how it works in general. Okay, let's move on to this one. This one is much more straightforward because we're gonna like this at this point it's not gonna be that difficult. Um I'm just gonna like hopefully by 9:40 around 9:50 we're done with the main section. So let's do this. So um margin top, and we're gonna put margin 6 top px4 space y5 md mt8 and md px8, and I'm also gonna put md block, and I'm also gonna put SL px36. I'm also gonna put 2XL px36. Okay, now if you notice, right, I basically create a pairing so far for this div. So basically there's certain gap, certain space, so it looks nicer. And I also make sure that it's aligned with this one, so it looks pretty, I guess. So okay, let's just move on and make some styling to this child divs, or I mean the content within the child divs. So let's just make this bold. Make this bold. Okay, I need to be careful, otherwise the live server might go. Yeah, might go error. So Azure 900. Okay. Okay, now it's okay. Again, this one is also the custom color, and then I'm gonna put font bold text dark Azure 500. Okay, now it's gonna look something like this. This one just styling the bold and the color and everything. So I'm just gonna copy this, put this in this, so because it's the same styling. Okay, now we're done with that. Okay, so right now we're basically 20% done with the site, honestly. So now we wanna move on to this text. Okay. Uh, to this text, we basically wanna like again put some margin, put some paddings. Okay, so it doesn't look like it's outside of everything. PX4. We're gonna put PX8, MD block, MD text, XL, LG width 506. Now this is also same thing as the 1/2. We can basically control the width using that as well. 36 and 2XL PX 36. Okay. Now it looks prettier. It has basically padding and everything. But notice that for LG, right, for large screen, I make it with 506. What does it mean? So let me just go to the large screen. So okay, in this case, 1024. Okay, this is large screen, right? So notice it's basically, think of this like 100% of the width. So 5/6, right? So it's gonna appear only half, only five, I guess 5 section. I don't know how to explain it, but basically uh yes, basically it's not 100%. The width is not 100%. If you want to like make it 100%, you can basically make it 6/6. Okay, I'm gonna like, okay, now it's go to the 100% maximum size. And the reason why it's not like go to the wall of the site is because in the end of the site, because I already put the margin and the padding. That's why it has some spaces at the end. So you want to go half, you can go 3/6. You want to go more shorter, you can go 2/6. So I hope you guys can get the idea of how to use the fraction for the width. So let's go back to the uh let's go back to the 768, which is the medium size screen.
May I interrupt here for a while?
Yes,
The
sure.
6 is a maximum division or what? Or
uh,
it's self-defined?
uh Not really. It's actually, I guess it's self-defined, because actually if you look at the documentation, hopefully I can find it, but with, okay, I'm not sure if I can like find it, because documentation has been updated. Let me just 6, maybe gonna appear 5/6. Is it gonna appear? Okay, it appears right here. So this is basically how it looks like, actually. So this division is gonna show 5/6. The remaining gonna be 1/6. So this is gonna be widthful. So this is gonna be 100%. This is gonna be less than 100%, and so on. So this,
So besides 6 is the maximum. So besides 6, can we put, let's say, 4 or
uh
5 maximum?
uh well, in Tailwind CSS, we can use custom styling for that. But in this session, we're not gonna do that. But most of the time, we can just use this, because this has been standardized. But yes, there's also 4 right here. If you guys, if you can see, it starts from 2, 5, 3. Okay, actually, yes, the maximum is 6, basically. Yeah, you can also put 4. But if you wanna
Okay.
like, if you wanna like customize it to other division as well, you can also do that using input.css, and someone is drawing right now. Can you stop drawing,
Okay,
please?
noted.
Uh, can you please stop drawing? Okay, thank you. Okay, someone is drawing in the Zoom. Okay, so let's proceed with the. Okay, somebody like um erase the drawing, because there's a dot in the Zoom right now. So yes, let's just proceed with it. Okay, now we can put text wrap. Text wrap is basically, we're just gonna wrapping the text right here, in case like you change the sizing. Okay, so that's that for the text. Now let's move on to the show more. For the show more, okay, where is the show more? Okay, this is the show more, which is the flex. We have the justify center, margin top 5, underline, text blue, 500. Okay, now it's basically at the center. Now font bold, text dark, Azure 500. And by the way, okay, so get back to this. So right now we're done with this section. Okay, let me go back to the visualization. So we're done with this basically, and then what we want to do is basically we want to do for this section right now. Okay, for this section we're gonna use grid. Okay, so okay, let's just go to the publication section. Publication section, this one. So right now what we want to do is basically, okay, again with the padding and everything, LG px8 XL px36 2XL px36. Okay, okay, so basically what we have done is basically we have created a padding with for the for parent div. So for now you guys cannot see it yet, so that's fine. uh Now we basically want to style this text publications. Okay, so we put font bold, margin top, uh, margin 12, px4, text center. Text center is basically gonna put the text at the center, and then let's make it larger, 4XL. Okay, all right. So next, what we wanna do is basically we wanna create a grid. Okay, we wanna create a grid. Grid is a very useful tool. So if you wanna like structure, make a grid like structure using yeah, if you wanna like change the behavior of HTML into a grid like structure, you can use grid. Basically, that's why it names as grid. So grid calls to get tree, and then LG grid calls tree. So now it actually show, okay, now this is very important because in the DevTools, if I like hover it at this, because I already coded it, right, it's gonna show an option for the grid, which basically if I enable it, it's basically gonna visualize it for us. I'm gonna press the grid right now, and it's gonna show us the grid layout. So in this case, because we're at middle screen sizes, so we right now basically have 2 columns and 3 rows right now for the grid. So for okay, all right, for because I also put SM, which is basically gonna include 640 pixel as well, but this is an exception because yeah, this is an exception, but it's also gonna apply for medium screen size as well. So that's why you see 2 columns right here. Grid calls to means 2 columns for the grid, and then also I put some gap in it, which is gap 3. That's why there's some gap between this column. And then for the large screen, if I change it to the large screen, it's gonna be 3 columns instead. See, there's now 3 columns right now. That's why it's called grid calls tree. So now we get that's gonna okay for the grid, each of this element, each of these each of these div is called a grid items. So let me just switch back to this. So this part, this div, this purple div right here, this purple div container right here is what we call as div grid items. Basically, this is what we call as grid items. So let's style the grid items right now. So first of all, usually whenever you wanna like style a grid item, you usually use flats. You can use grid as well, but in this case, I'm gonna use I'm just gonna use edge. I'm just gonna use flats in this case. Okay. Okay. This is also a custom styling as well. If you notice, Azure is basically just a custom styling from my side. And also, I wanna like put this flex call. Okay. So basically, I wanna make this these two tags stack on top of each other, and then I wanna make this font. I wanna style the tags and tag start Azure 500. And then also gonna do the same thing for this one as well. Text gray 600. Okay. Now for the image, I guess there's isn't okay. I guess I just put H226 right here for the height. Okay. Now it appears something like this, right? Because I haven't like styled for other things as well. But it's just a similar thing to do. Just gonna style the same thing, then it's gonna appear the same. So I'm just gonna copy and paste everything from the publication section, because for the grid items, for the styling is gonna be similar. So I'm just, because we're actually out of kinda time, so I'm just gonna like copy it. I'm gonna also paste it in the WhatsApp group as well, so you guys can copy it into your code, okay, into your editor. I'm just gonna go to the section. Okay, I'm just gonna, hopefully everything looks well. Okay, now it looks something like this. Okay. Alright. So let me just 768. Okay. Now it looks something like this. So now we're done with the publication section. Now let's do for the in focus section right now. So in focus section is a bit interesting, and also I added a show more button. I basically just add some padding, add some margins, add some borders, and had some like animations. If I like close this, if I like over this, it's gonna change to different color. That's what for that I use a hover pseudo class for this. Okay. Alright, so I'm just gonna go back into the emulator. Okay. So now we're just gonna go into the in focus section. Oh, by the way, I also wanna like copy paste this as well. Code for publication section on yeah, code for publication section. Okay, I already put that, but this is not for the this is not the entire main section yet, but for that I'll also gonna give later. Okay, for in focus, let's just do this quickly, because it's just the same thing again over again, because just using a grid again, just a different way. By the way, you can use screen instead of full. And px4 lg, I guess I can just copy paste this and just explain it. Okay, this part is just using the padding. This part we're just gonna like change the text styling. It's just gonna okay. So basically what we done is basically we make this font weight into font bold option, which is about, yeah, it's about 700. And then text for Excel, make it larger, and then put at the center, and then put margin top and margin bottom 9 and 10. So next we basically gonna create grid, and grid calls 1 by default at the smaller screen size. It's gonna be again by default it's gonna apply to the smallest screen size, right? So it's gonna be column 1 column for the smallest screen size. So we're gonna put md grid calls 3 and md gap 2. Okay, all right. So now what I want to do is basically, okay, this is also something special, which is group, and I'm gonna explain that later. Overflow hidden, and overflow hidden is that whenever like an image, we basically want to prevent any overflowing of any elements to be hidden. Basically, we want to basically make sure any overflowing elements to be hidden. That's why it's called overflow hidden. From the previous session, we already explained that. So relative h60 overflow hidden as well. The idea is because we wanna like whenever we hover at the image, we wanna like to expand it. So that's why we don't want it to overflow into other elements, right? So that's why we put the parent or the container as overflow hidden. And also, yes, we also wanna like put height as well, 80. Okay. Alright, so okay, because we're in the medium screen size, right? Again, we have 3 columns. Notice I've specified for the medium screen size is grid columns calls 3. So basically I have 3 columns right now. So if I change it into 7, which is the smallest screen size, it's gonna go to 1 column. Okay? Alright then. So okay. Um Alright, now let's start a bit with the image. So this is also important as well. H full object cover, transform, transition, transform, duration, 300, group hover, scale 110. So okay, let me just, okay, I guess I need to also style this as well. For the VM shop also, we wanna like make this background white, H44. I guess this part we can just like copy because it's just the padding. I wanna like focus more on the transform. So okay, this part right now becomes bigger. We basically added some padding and margin, and this part we just put flex. Okay, just to make it stack on top of each other because it's in the column direction. Okay, H full, and then for the text we put this. We want to make it bold. Now it becomes like that. Now I know it looks a bit weird, but we're just gonna make it look better. So okay, I will basically do another one for this, and then I'm just gonna copy the entire section because this section is a bit I guess we don't have to because it's just a similar idea. Okay, so for this in focus, I'm gonna copy again for the entire section because we're just styling for specific grid child grid. I mean grid items. Sorry about that. So I'm just gonna copy this. Just similar idea. Okay. Now it's gonna appear something like this. I have done for the first one. Now I have done for the second and third one. So it's in focus right now. So right now, what I wanna do is basically explain a bit about how these things work. So let's go to the one of the grid items. Let's make this okay. Let's remove the emulator. So what's going on is that if I hover this, what's going on is that it's gonna like expand, and if I don't put overflow hidden, it's gonna like show the image, right? So you don't want that. So you basically wanna put overflow hidden. That's why I put overflow hidden for both of these for both of the for this one on and also this one. That's why I put overflow hidden because I don't want like to overflow into other elements. And also for this, I also apply a styling for the image for the transform, and it's gonna be around 3, I guess yeah, 300 millisecond. So for the group, right, if you notice, for the group, it's basically, the idea is this: whenever you hover the entire parent element, it's gonna like scan whichever element that contains group hover, or the pseudo class in this case, and then scale it to 110, which is in this case 110%. So it increase 10% in size basically. So it's gonna expand about 300 milliseconds whenever I hover the parent element. Same for this. Okay. Alright then. So let me just put this for the uh, code for the in focus section. Okay. Alright. I already done that for the in focus section. So now let's go into the related topics. So for the related topics, just similar idea because we're gonna use a grid as well. So we're just gonna put min with screen. We're gonna put with full, background, dark, azure, 500, empty, 10. But right now what we're trying to do is basically we're trying to, okay, right now we basically put a background first, background color, and then we're gonna put some padding as well. 4. I guess I can just copy paste it. Alright. Okay, so we're just gonna like create padding surrounding it for different screen sizes. So I'm just gonna like explain this a little bit more. So by default, horizontally, this part is basically for the smallest screen size, and then it's gonna apply for the large screen size, and then for the large screen size for the extra screen size. Okay. So the basically the greater the screen size, the greater the padding will be basically. Okay. So okay, now let's go and let's basically start the related topics. So text 3XL PB 8 and text Y text center. Okay, now it's gonna go to the center, similar as well like what we have done before. So now market, okay, grid calls 1. Okay, so basically the idea is, okay, I'm gonna open up the emulator again. Okay, I'm gonna open up the emulator again, and basically what we wanna do is basically also I wanna enable the grid as well. Let me see where's the related topics, and there should be a grid already. Okay, there's a grid right here. I'm gonna enable this, and then it's gonna show the grid right now. Okay, so this is basically the grid visualization through the DevTools. So uh so now we basically want to create some gap. Okay, gap 4 md grid calls to lg grid calls 3. So the idea is that okay, for the smaller screen size it's gonna be 1 column for with gap 4, and also for different screen size it's gonna be gap 4 by default, because if you haven't like specified for other screen sizes, it's also gonna apply to other screen sizes as well. Alright, so this gap 4 is gonna be applied to all screen sizes. Otherwise, if you mention it for other screen sizes, for example, like, okay, let me just show you an example. Okay, let's say I wanna like make this gap 8 instead at medium screen size. Okay, now it's gonna be a lot bigger, right? Because I specify 8 at the medium screen size. But by default, it's gonna pick whatever you choose first. So in this case, get 4. So hopefully you get the idea of, hopefully you guys get a better understanding more of how the um, using the utility class for the different screen sizes or the breakpoints basically. So okay, now let's just move on and basically customize the div, the grid items. Okay, so background white, border border solid. We basically right now creating a border right now. Okay, again with the with the live server there's an issue, so we have to reload it again. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. So hover background white border. Okay, border solid, and then we also want to put border white as well. Px 5 and py 5 as well, and space y 3, and also group. We encounter another one that uses group as well. This is interesting because it basically applies the same principle. Whenever you hover, okay, I guess I need to close this one as well. Whenever you hover the parent element, any of the parent element, it's gonna basically apply the styling that contains group hover. Alright, so we haven't like specified yet. So that's, we're gonna like specify it now. First, before that, we're gonna like style this text a bit. Text white, text to SL, group hover, text dark, Azure. This also again a custom color. Okay, so whenever like I hover it, you see it changes color. That's why, because it has a group hover right here. So it's basically gonna scan any of the chart elements that contains the group hover. You're gonna like apply the changes color, apply the changes, the styling changes based on what you have specified to the group hover. Okay, then let's move on to customizing the some of the description for, okay, some of the description for this as well, for the grid items. Group hover, text gray 500. Okay, so if I like, okay, I need to, okay, now if I hover this, it's gonna change color for the description as well. So that's basically what we're gonna do for other elements, for other grid items as well. So I'm just gonna copy back again for the related topics, for the related topic section. And also it's gonna like based on what I've just explained, if you change the screen sizes, there it's gonna change into, it's gonna change into different multiple, I guess the columns gonna change, the amount of columns gonna change. So if I like enable the responsiveness, right, if I like make it 768, now it has 2 columns. If I make it 24, it's gonna have 3 columns, etc. The max is 3 basically right now. Let's go back to 768. So yes, I'm just gonna code for the, what do you call it, related topics section. Okay, done that. And I guess I will also give out the entire section, but that's gonna be too long, but I guess that's fine. I'm just gonna copy this as well for the main. Yes, I'm gonna copy the main section and give it into the WhatsApp as well. So right now we have come into the last section, which is the footer. So yes, the footer is a lot more challenging, but hopefully we can like finish it at like 10:45, I suppose. So yes, we'll try to do that. So let me just copy this and put it into WhatsApp group. Okay, code for main section. Alright, you guys can basically like look at the complete project that I just sent in the WhatsApp in the message room, in case like you um like cannot catch up yet. You guys can basically just copy whatever is inside the complete project. So now let's go into the footer. Let's just explain a little bit about the footer, because the footer is basically, I will say, the most interesting part of this site. Yes, this is basically the footer, our footer right now. Okay, so we have seen like for other sections that we can use grid to like customize this part, this part, this part. But sometimes you can also use grid to like optimize your code to make it shorter, less less boiler template code. And you can basically, what I meant like is that you can use grid to basically rearrange grid items in however you want basically. So in this case, right, if you look at the, where is this, okay, this is 768, right? So I'm gonna show you guys the 768. Okay, so if you can see this section, okay, the footer section contains a div, and the div basically being applied the grid styling. Okay, so whatever is within this grid is what we call as a grid items. Okay, so notice this is the first grid item, this is the second grid item, this is the fifth grid item. I will explain why this is called as the fifth, because there is actually a third and a fourth in between, but not in this screen size. It's actually, okay, it's actually at the more at the larger screen. Okay, at the larger screen it's gonna appear here because I rearrange it into that specific location on the grid. So that is the, this right now we're gonna do it for the 768 first. So actually, right, I guess we can do it for the mobile first, by the way. But for the mobile it's gonna look something like this. Okay, so this is basically the fourth grid item, this is gonna be the fifth grid item, this is gonna be the sixth grid item, and then this is gonna be our first grid item right here, and this is gonna be our second grid item, third grid item, hopefully this is third, okay, this is third, and then seventh grid item, eighth grid item, and the ninth grid item, which is the last part right here. And the reason why it's overflowing because I make it span three I basically span it into three grid. Okay, I span it into grid, yeah, I span it like into three to occupy three grid items basically. That's why it's overflowing. So we're gonna build this, the mobile version first. So let's go into the code. Alright. Okay. Alright. So this is what we have so far. If you notice, I've also commented in the template. This is the basically the first grid item, the second grid item, the third grid item, the fourth grid item, the fifth grid item, the sixth grid item, seventh, eighth, and also the last one is the ninth grid item. So we basically, based on the screen sizes that we wanna like display, we can like rearrange this grid item however we want within the grid. That's the idea. If we really like try to duplicate everything, make a different kind of styling, not using grid for different screen sizes, then it's gonna be a lot of duplications. So we don't want to do that. So instead we can use grid because we can like rearrange it however we want. So let's start with the, let's see. So right now we can start with the fourth grid item first. So let's go to the fourth grid item. Alright, so alright. Okay, for the section. Okay, first of all, what we wanna do is basically we wanna like go okay, first of all, we wanna make this with me screen. Okay, sorry, main with screen. In the complete project I put win full, but you can use actually the main with screen instead. So for the section, we wanna make it main with screen as well. So it like occupies the 100 view width. So we also can make H full as well. So it's like 100% in terms of height. And then we're gonna put dark, Azure, 900, and relative, and z10. Okay, so what we have done so far, okay, I'm gonna like disable this I'm gonna like disable this I guess the grid for this one. Okay, I guess I'm just gonna leave that. I guess I'm just gonna leave it there. That yeah, let's just move on. Okay, like I just mentioned before, we wanna make the parent div into a grid, so we can rearrange the grid item, right? So we first of all we wanna make it into grid. So now by default it's gonna be one column, but the smaller screen sizes, right? Because we wanna do the smaller screen sizes first. We wanna like make it into um 3 rows first, right? 3 rows first, and I'm gonna use fraction. The reason I'm using fraction, 1fr, 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 is because I wanna make it like the ratio to be the same whenever you like move into different screen sizes. Okay, if you use like pixel, then whenever you change the screen sizes, then it's gonna stick with that pixel. If you use fraction, then it's basically gonna maintain the ratio basically with the relative to the screen size you're using basically. So next we basically wanna put grid rows, one fraction, 0.3, 0.3 fraction, 0.3, 0, okay, one fraction as well, 0.3 fraction, and last one 0.3 section. In the complete project I put a comma at the last part, so that's my mistake. Okay, now we have another live server error. Okay, tak apa, we're basically gonna go live right now again. Okay, alright. Okay, now we basically have 3 rows, right? Because that's what we have specified for now. So okay, now let's just rearrange this. Okay, so first of all, let's go to the fourth grid item. So for the fourth grid item, by the way, I want to make sure okay. So for the fourth grid item, okay, for the fourth grid item, it's basically gonna be empty. Okay, we're just gonna make it empty, and there's a reason why I'm using this a grid item for this, because, well, if you look at the site, the reference site, there's this border right here, and we need two divs actually overlapping within each other, which, or let's say stack on top of each other, to make this kind of border to appear like this. Okay, otherwise for this element we don't actually need a empty grid item for that, but for this section we need it. So okay, yeah, let's just code this out. Azure 900 main with full. I'm just gonna like go to this H full relative px 4 rounded tr txl call start 1. Remember, we wanna like okay, this one. Okay, again with a live server. I guess if I refresh, everything looks fine again. Okay, I guess I have to like reload it again. Okay. Oops, I pressed something. Okay, for some reason food security is there. I don't know why. Before this doesn't appear, but that's fine. That's fine. We're just gonna focus on the folder first. I guess I will just copy back the section. Maybe I press delete something. Okay, let's just focus on the folder. XL, and we also wanna like style this as well. Background linear to be from neon. Neon is also a customized color that I use via neon red 400 to neon red 300 H full with full absolute position z index. Remember from the last session, z index basically we're trying to like stack it on top of each other. In this case, because I put negative z, it's gonna become, it's basically this div right here is gonna be below this div, this parent div. That is basically what's going on right now. Top 0 and left 0. Basically, I'm gonna position this absolute at the utmost left top. Okay. Alright. So now what I wanna do is basically the fourth grade item should be at this part right now. Yeah. Okay. Actually, alright. This one right now is at the column 1 row 2. So what we want to do is basically we want to arrange it to this part. So what we want to do is basically rearrange this. Okay, call start 1 row start 1. Okay, now it appears at this part, you see. So what we done is basically we try to stack it. This line of code is basically we're trying to rearrange it, rearrange the grid item based on the current screen size. Okay, and for the medium screen size, we're gonna like make it row. I guess we don't have to. We just gonna make it for the smaller screen size first, and after that we can like go into the fifth grade item. So let's search for the fifth grade item. So the fifth grade item is gonna be class. Oh, sorry, h full, w full, background dark, azure 900, call start 2 row start 1, md call. Okay, this one doesn't need yet. So if we look back, this is basically our fifth grade item, right? So now what I want to do is basically style this as well. I guess I will just, you know what? I guess I will just for the fourth grade item, I'm just gonna put the for the medium screen sizes as well, because we actually don't have any time left. I'm just gonna put this as well at the bottom. So after this, I'm gonna show you guys the changes being made to the medium screen sizes as well. But this part is basically for the medium screen sizes. And then for the fifth grade item, we basically, I'm just gonna like copy this, I guess. Okay, I'm just gonna explain the code basically. Otherwise, we don't have like much time left. Okay. Okay, now right now is basically at the, if you notice, this is an emergency, right? So basically, um, basically, okay, why did I just delete something? Okay, I think I just deleted something. Okay, now, okay, it should appear right here. So right now it's at column start 2, which is at column 2, and row start 1, which is at row 1, basically. And then what we want to do is basically uh, make this relative, and we basically want to change the color. Now it appears something like this. So why is relative? Because there's also another div below it, which is an absolute, and we're gonna change or put the z index negative as well. So this part is gonna be on top of it. So this is basically how we do background linear to background linear is basically trying to create a gradient to the background. Okay, so in this case I choose this color. So this is basically the first color, and this is gonna be the middle color, and the last one is gonna be the third last color, which is the lightest, I guess the lightest color for this gradient. So next, and then I'm gonna like uh, and then I'm gonna like put this as well. Basically I just change something at the text, just style the text. And for this part there's a lot of line. By the way, if you use something like React or any framework, you don't have to like do this manually, because you can like use JavaScript array methods. But because of this workshop, we don't like use JavaScript. We have to do these things manually instead. So it's gonna be a lot more time consuming, and now we have to refresh it again. I'm not sure why this appear, but I guess I deleted something. Okay, now it appears something like this. And after that, we also wanna like put something below this as well. Okay, this part is basically where we're gonna put something below it. Okay, the below it is basically below this gradient div. Because why? Because it's z index position is -10, so it's gonna be below it. If it's 0, if greater, then it's gonna stack on top of it, which is in this case this div right here. Okay, and just to be like safe, I guess I will also copy the fourth grade item in case I've missed something out. Okay, seems like I missed the border. Okay, so I need to put a there's a code for that as well. Okay, rounded tr3xl. So tr means top, right, and then you can specify how big, how rounded the radius of it. So if I change it to 2, it's gonna be less rounded. Okay, if I change it to 1, it's gonna be less. Okay, it's gonna be 1. If I put back 3, it's gonna be more rounded lah. Okay, that's done for that section. Let's go to the, I suppose it's the uh, sixth grade item. For the sixth grade item, it's basically just the same thing. It's not too many code, so I'm just gonna like copy it. So it's just a similar idea. Hopefully you guys can get the general idea of this. If you guys at least don't understand the code, that's fine. You guys can like rewatch this again in the YouTube channel. So right now, okay, okay, the sixth grade item doesn't, for some reason doesn't work. Okay, maybe I need to reload it again for mobile. Should work. Okay, let me just reload it again. Let's see if that works. Okay, now if for some reason it appears at my second monitor. Okay, and my second monitor, it appears fine. Okay, let me just, okay, maybe there's something, I maybe deleted the hidden part of this. That's that's fine. Let's go back to the responsiveness. Okay, let me see what's the problem here. Row start 1, call start 3. Okay, it should have worked, but that's fine. Okay, maybe sometime there's a bug in this code, but we can like move on to other element. All right, so let's go into the I guess the first grid element first. Let's go, I guess it's the first, right? Okay, let's go to the first one. Also, I would like to put every single rows, uh, just in case maybe that's the reason why it doesn't appear on the top right. Okay, I'm just gonna copy everything back. Okay. All right. So okay, now basically this is all of the different screen sizes for different. Okay, so basically for different screen sizes, there's gonna be different columns, different rows, different amounts of rows, different amounts of columns. That's why I do it like this. For medium, there's a basically 4 rows, and this one has 5 rows, 5 columns, and this one also have 5 columns. And for the rows, the smallest screen sizes has the most rows. Okay, the other one is like similar 5 or 6 rows. Okay, let's go to the first grid item and let's try to rearrange it. Okay, let me just go.
So,
Yes,
Azumar, may
yes.
I ask,
Hmm.
for the grid items, you have to hard code it, am I right? As compared to flex box, which is responsive. For the grid items, you have to hard code it to be responsive.
Uh, Basically yes.
Okay, another question. For the Z,
Hmm.
negative and positive, what's the difference? Is it overlapping top and bottom or what?
Yes.
Different layers.
Yep, different layers. So basically, if it's positive, it's gonna be on top. Okay, if there's 2 divs, right, and one is positive and one is negative, the positive is gonna be on top. It's gonna lay on top.
Okay, thank you.
All right, no problem. Okay. Okay. All right. Honestly, right, I guess I will just copy paste everything because we're like outside we're almost at the end of this session. So I'm just gonna like explain everything for this code because I don't think we have the time. So alright. So I'm just gonna like explain everything because we don't have like the time for this. But the general idea is that we wanna like rearrange the entire code, the entire grid items into however we want it to look like. So if based on the visualization that I've made, it's basically that's how it's gonna rearrange based on the screen sizes that we like specify. So wait a second. Okay. Okay. Let me just copy everything and then I'm just gonna explain everything for the footer section because yeah, if you look at this code already, it's a lot to explain. But I'm trying my best to like explain everything, so don't worry. Okay. Okay, now there's a server error again. Okay, so this is basically what it's gonna looks like. Alright, if you like rearrange everything, and okay, I'm gonna like explain it as best as I can. So okay, let's explain it before. Let's go to the first grid item. Okay, let's go to the for the mobile first. All right. So like I just said before, we have the fourth grid item, the fifth grid item, the sixth grid item, right? So for different screen sizes, it may change. It may change position. So we have to like hard code it into different sections, different parts of the grid. Okay. So in this case, the tree in this large screen supposed to be at this part in the in this specific range of the screen size. So yes, and then okay, so this is basically like I just said before, the grid columns, grid rows. This one is for the smaller screen sizes because this is the default styling applied to it, and then this is gonna be the medium screen sizes, and it's gonna be the large screen sizes. Then it's gonna be the extra large screen sizes, and this part is just a width and height, and then just padding, and yeah, just padding. And then for this grid, for let's focus on the first grid item for the mobile. So in this case, right, if you notice, we basically have three columns and basically how many rows? 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So for the first grid item, if you notice, it is basically at row 2 and column 2, right? But the reason is because okay, if you notice, right, if you notice, I put at column start 1 instead of 2. Okay, the reason is because I'm spanning it at 3 grid size. The reason why is, if you look at the okay, if you look at this, right, if you look at this is basically the first grid item. The first grid item is basically gonna span into 3 grid size. That's why you can see it's overflowing. And other than that, it's basically just styling. Okay, other than that, it's just styling for the for the text and for the padding and everything. And then for the second grid item, let's go to the second grid item. For the second grid item, it's gonna be below the first grid item. In this case, it's basically similar situation where uh, it needs to be it's basically it span into 3 grid size. It's basically spanning into 3 grid items from the rows perspective. That's why it says call span 3. So basically it occupied 3 columns in terms of size. And then same things for the styling as well. And then let's go to the third one. For the third one, it's basically the same thing. You put at call start 1. Basically you put it right here at the first column, and then you span it 3. You basically increase the size until it reaches here. That's why I put call start 1. If you use call start 2 at the center, then it's basically gonna span outside until it reaches this. It's gonna overflow. So that's why you're gonna use call start 1. You start at 1 position, and then we're gonna increase the size into 3 column size. That's why it's called call span 3. I'm using the visualization so you guys can see it better. But it's basically the same thing at this part. This is basically our third grid item. Okay. And then for the fourth grid item, which is gonna be the below part. Okay, the fourth grid item is gonna be here. This one I already specified for mobile. It's gonna be call start 1 right here, which is the first column, and row 1, which is the first row. So in this case, as you can see, this is basically our fourth grid item, which is at row 1 and column 1. And then for the fifth grid item, it's gonna be at column 1, sorry, column 2, row 1. So if you notice, this is what the styling being applied to. Column start 2, row start 1. This part we don't have to like span it. So because it's just in within its own column, it doesn't have to expand, it doesn't have to span to other columns. And that's for the fifth grid item. And within its content, it's just a styling, just texting. Yeah, within the grid item, it's just styling, just putting the padding, putting the bold, putting the hover and everything. So, and then for the sixth grid item, it's just the same thing for the fourth grid item as well, just empty. But in this case, instead of like starting it from the first column, we started at the third column, and then we're gonna start it also at the first row. Okay, that's how we're gonna organize it. And then let's move on to the seventh grid item, which is at this part. Seventh grid item is gonna be uh, similar to the third, second, and first grid item. Okay, this basically gonna be our seventh, which contains the image and also some text in it. So this is basically our asset, the logo, and everything. And then for the eighth grid item, it's basically gonna be our like the, I don't know how to call it, but uh, this part, which contains our social media links and some buttons, and one button, donate. And for the ninth grid item, it's basically this part. Okay, and this part is all this seventh, eighth, and ninth grid item also span in terms of 3 column size. So it's gonna like overflow. Okay, and the overflow is intentional. It's not like there's a bug. It's because I specify it as call span 3. Okay, so okay, that's finished for the mobile. Let's go into the larger screen sizes. So for the larger screen sizes, let's move on to 768. Okay, for the 768 is basically we're basically using the same grid item, but we're like rearranging the grid items in however we want. In this case, this is basically how you wanna like rearrange it. One, we start with 1 instead of 4. Previously we start with 4, right? So now we basically start with 1. So you notice, um, let's go to the 1 again. Let's go to the 1 again, and like I just showed previously, because it's in medium screen size right now, right? We basically wanna start at row 1, right? Row 1, row 1. This is row 1. This is row 2. This is row 3, and this last one is row 4. This is column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4. Okay. So row start 1, call start 1, and then for the styling, just basically just put some padding, put some changes some text size, color, and everything. So it's gonna appear something like this. Okay, gonna appear something like this. But for the second grid item, it's a bit interesting because we're actually spanning it from the rows perspective. So it's gonna take about 2 row sizes. And notice that the row sizes for each part is not the same. And the reason why is that if you look at this part, right, I specified this fraction at the second row to be 0.3. So it's much more smaller relative to other relative to other row size. So in this case, this one fraction. So one fraction is gonna be larger in terms of the ratio, and then for 0.3 is gonna be smaller, and this part is also gonna be smaller. This part is also gonna be smaller as well. Okay. All right. So all right. Let's okay. That's that for the second. Okay. Also second grid item, I also span it row span 2. So it's gonna occupy row uh 2 row size basically. So that's why you see here it's basically overflowing into this second row. Okay. So that's the purpose of the row span 2, or whatever, however you wanna like span it. If you span it 3, it's gonna go into this 3 row. It's gonna like overflow into the third row. but because I wanna like make sure everything looks organized and pretty, I make it like expand it into row 2. Okay, and then for the fifth grid item, let's just make this quick. Okay, the fifth grid item already passed it. Okay, for the fifth grid item, basically we start at row 1 again, and we also start column 3 instead. So this is column 2, this is column 3. And then we also don't want to like spend anything. And for the sixth grid item, it's basically this small grid item. This part is also another grid item. So this grid item, if you look, it's just a small part of the code, just like it serves just for aesthetics. So it makes like this section have a border outside, and also it has a border inside as well. So that's that. We put it at the row 1 column 4. Okay, so row 1 column 4. So LG is gonna be a bit different, but it's just similar because we're just trying to squeeze a third grade in between. If you know this, we're just trying to squeeze another third grade item. Just similar. And then let's just move on to the 7. 7 is basically gonna start at row 2 column 3, and which is basically this part right here. This is basically the 7th grade item. Let's move on to the 3rd grade item for this. Okay, for the 3rd grade items, we're basically gonna, okay, for the 3rd grade item it's a bit special because if you notice, there's also a grade within this grade item. So yes, you can basically nest grade into each other. You can basically create nested grades. Okay, so within a grade item, you can also create another grade. Okay, so within a grade, there's also another grade item. So yeah, so it's yeah. So in this case, there's two nested grades. So I'm gonna show you what does it look like. So this is how it's gonna looks like. So we basically have one right here, one grade item, and also 2. If you notice, actually there's 2 grade items, but for this one I use flags. So and then I change the direction into column. So that's why it's stacked on top of each other. So that's the 3rd grade item. But whenever I change it into a larger screen size, the grid styling to this div is not gonna be applied anymore. So I make it like like I guess I put it block if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Okay, where's the okay? Okay, for the large one I put it block, alright? Because I don't want like to be great in whenever I change it into the larger screen sizes. Alright, so okay, that's for the 3rd grade item. So let's go to the 8th grade item. So the 8th grade item is just similar. And also by the way, I also span it into 2 column sizes. So if you notice at the 3rd grade item, I span it at where is it? So yeah, so at medium screen sizes, I also span it into it's basically gonna take up 2 column sizes. Alright, if I specify it 1, it's gonna like only reach until this far only. If I specify it 2, it's gonna take up 2 columns spaces, basically. And then for the 8th grade item, alright, so for the 8th grade item, basically I just rearrange it at row 3 and row 3 and column 3. So yeah, column start 3 and Oh, okay. So for it's by default it's already called okay, I see. So this okay, this column start tree and row start tree. So row tree, column tree lah. And then for the ninth grade item, and beside this it's just a styling, just similar to what we did before. And for the ninth one is basically this part. For this part, it's just we're just spanning it into taking up 3 column spaces. So we start at column start 1, starting from this part and spanning it until it reached at the third column. So it's gonna span about 3 column sizes. Okay, and then we're just gonna style it like usual. We're just gonna use flags, and yes, that's probably it for the larger screen sizes. And finally, we have reached at the largest screen sizes. For the largest screen sizes, it's just the difference is not that lot. For this grade item is just the same. This second grade item is the same. Fifth grade item is the same. Sixth grade item is the same. 7 also the same. 8 also the same. Ninth also the same. But what's different is that the third grade item has been squished or being squished together between grade item 2 and grade item 5. So what I did is basically let's go back to the third grade item. And by the way, let's go on to the let's go on to yeah, I guess I just can copy this. Okay, so from the large screen sizes, if you notice, from 1, 2, 3, 4, from 4 columns now it becomes 5 columns for the large. So whenever you wanna like squeeze something, you wanna make sure that you have enough spaces or enough columns before you like rearrange things. That's why you need to like change the different screen sizes, change the columns sizes or the amount of columns based on the screen sizes you want. So in this case for the LG, I want to make sure that we have 5 columns so we can like squish together the third grade item between the second and the fifth grade item. Okay. And for the XL, just the same thing. I just make it a little bit different in terms of the fraction, but generally it still have the 5. It still have 5 columns. So yeah, let's move on to the third grade item. For the third grade item, is basically gonna by default. Okay, for the LG, right? Because we're in the LG screen size right now, it's gonna start at column 3, and it's gonna start at row 1. And other than that, we basically just gonna make this LG block whenever we're in a larger screen. If otherwise, it's gonna still maintain this grid. Alright, that's the purpose of it. So let's just showcase again the different screen sizes for the footer. So this is what we have for the 767, and then for the 1024. Okay, actually 768. 768. Okay, this is what we get for the 768, which is the medium screen size. And then for the large screen size, and then for the okay, not this one, that's too much. Okay, for the extra large screen, and also I also put another one for 1478, and last one for the extra large screen. It's gonna look like this. Okay, so yeah, okay, I guess that's it for my session. I just wanna like to recap really quick. What we have done so far, we have done the navbar section, the header section first, and then the main section, which contains this image and food security and some text and publications, which we use grid. And in focus, we also use grid. Related topics, we also use grid. To style the grid items, we can use flags. You can also use grid. In this case, in the example of the footer, because if you notice, right, if I go to this part also contains another grid. So we have created a nested grid for the footer. So yes, that's it for this for my session. Thank you very much. I will basically pass it to the Sirat, and I will also provide the footer code in the WhatsApp. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Azuma. That was such an informative session. So, guys, do you have any questions you can ask?
Yeah, I have a
So,
question that's slightly different. How does the uh React looks like, and what is it used for?
Uh, React, you mean like the framework?
Something like that. How does the interface look like, and what's the purpose of React?
Uh, okay, that's a very good question. So, like, I assume you mean like React JS, right? So React JS is basically a library used for web development. It basically makes the web development faster instead of like trying to okay, the first benefits of using React is basically instead of having separate files for HTML and JavaScript, it's basically basically it will combine into one file. So basically you have the HTML section, you can also have the JavaScript section. So like if you notice, right, in the some of the code that I just provided, there are certain things that are repetitive. You can use React to basically make things faster. Combined with Tailwind, you can basically do everything in one file. So that's the benefit. That's why you see a lot of React developers use Tailwind with React, because you can do everything in one file instead of like if you use like the traditional pure way, you basically have three files, right? JavaScript, HTML, CSS. If you use React plus Tailwind, most of the time you're just gonna use one file for it. So yes, hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah. So are there features or shortcut or icons in React, whereby you can just drag and drop or things like that? Is it something like that? Because I've never seen React interface.
Uh, uh, for React, I think like maybe I never heard any things that uses interfaces, but I think like Vercel, which is the company, has it. Like it uses AI integrated with it, so you can probably check on that. Mm,
Okay. Yeah.
okay.
So React basically is to speed up the web development,
Yep.
right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. All right.
so any other questions? I assume if there are no questions, then we can proceed ahead. We can mark our attendance. Emma, can you please go to the attendance slide? Yeah, you guys can mark your attendance here. Please scan this QR and fill the form. I'll give you guys 2 minutes to do it. Or maybe 2 minutes is a lot. I guess 1 minute is fine. Please, once you are done, can I see some reactions in the chat so that I can proceed ahead?
Sorry, just to want to make sure whether this form is from yesterday class because I tried to scan and it said that I only can respond for only one time. Hmm.
Oh, one second. Sorry, may I know what exactly is the issue of the form? Because I tried scanning it and it's opening.
It said that I already fill the form and it's only
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Just 1 second. I'll just inform the team to change it.
I managed to fill up the form. You just need to scroll to the bottom, Then you can proceed to the next, and complete the form.
Okay, you guys can try again. Are you guys able to do it now? Scan it now?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
okay,
thank
great.
you.
Okay. Can I see some reactions if you guys are done? Wait, I see people have already done it. Great. So I guess we can proceed ahead. And this was the end of our session. Thank you all for joining. It was a very great session and we learned a lot of things here. Thank you so much to the speakers and thank you so much, audience, for staying with us for 2 sessions. So good night.
Thank you so much for inviting us to attend the useful session. Very educational. Yeah,
Thank you so much for joining as well.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank everyone
You
for
want to
joining.
take a photo session?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, sure. Okay, you guys can open your cameras, please. Three, two, one. Okay, another one. Three, two, one. Perfect. Thank you so much, guys. Good night.